In the late 19th century, the area where I'm standing was one of the last settlements of the old Chisholm Trail cattle drives in Texas, before the trail crossed the Red River into Oklahoma territory. Now, the settlement was, and still is, called Nocona, Texas. Population about 3,000. But the only drives through Nocona now involve cars. And while this is what rush hour in Nocona looks like on a typical weekday morning, it wouldn't look nearly this calm and quiet if all of Pete Horton's Corvette collection took to the streets at once. The town of Nocona has long been known for its leather goods production. Though operating at a slower pace than in its past, Nocona still has a baseball glove factory, which turns out roughly 100 ball gloves a day. It's a family business run by a fourth generation. Nocona is also known for its cowboy boot manufacturing operations, which ship hundreds of pairs a day all over the United States.
I'm Rob Story. I'm the Executive Vice President for Nocona. Nocona Ball Gloves, and that's Nocona with a K, N-O-K-O-N-A. Like I say, I've been here for 38 years. I've been in the town for 58. My great-grandfather started the company back in 1926 as a purse and wallet manufacturer. And shortly after he got that started, in 1934, we made our first glove. After 80 plus years, we finally have a new factory within an old factory. So really kind of put us back in a good position to be kind of refreshed and have our second win, so to speak. Craig Carter, when he bought the old Nocona Boot Company building, it was just a shell about 2 years ago. At the same time, we were still looking for a place that we could finally settle down and call home. And so we started talks with Craig and his wife, Leah, and were able to make a deal and start building out our facility this past year, and have moved in and got started about the same time that the brewery started. So it's really a good synergy on either end of the building, and I think it's good for the building and for Carter's, Craig and Leah, but it's even better for Nocona because the people of Nocona have always looked at this as the ultimate building in Nocona. So many thousands of people worked here.
Welcome folks to Nocona and to Nocona Beer and Brewery. My name is Ken Kohlmeyer, and I'm the owner and creator of this factory. And I've been involved in every stage of the creation of this. It'll be 2 years this coming December. I've been brewing beer less than a year. We started last December, but things are up and running and we're all excited about it, and I'm glad you're here to help tell this story.
My name is Dave Young. I'm the head brewer here at Nocona Beer and Brewery. We do a lot of experimentation to try new things. For canning, we'll bring in several thousand cans. We'll typically can anywhere from 100 to 150 cases of beer a setting. And if I have enough hands, it'll be a little bit easier, but basically we have a 4-nozzle canning machine. We're feeding 24 cans into it at a time, and it'll fill at a rate of up to 1,000 cans an hour.
When we sell boots, we're not selling a boot. We're connecting with the person and telling them about the story of Nocona. We're telling that story and keeping that legacy alive, one boot at a time. And now we're telling the next story, which is this Nocona beer is made in the factory. This Nocona ball glove is made in our factory, and keeping the legacy alive of things made in Nocona.
We're making a song, and I'm not a musician, but pretty soon it's going to be boots, beer, and baseball gloves, and that's the story of Nocona.
But in the past 2 years, Nocona has taken on a new identity, spearheaded by a near world-class collection of Corvettes and classic cars.
Really kind of research it, and it's a good thing to do. And it helps this town a lot, too.
The "it" Pete Horton refers to is his massive car collection that has almost literally exploded onto the scene in downtown Nocona in the relatively recent past. Just 2 years ago, Pete Horton had no Corvettes.
I was in our condo. We stay in New Orleans quite a bit, and I was watching TV, and a commercial come up, said Vicari car auction in a few days, and it said it was at the Mardi Gras World. That was about 3 blocks from our house, and I thought, I think I'll go down and watch that. I've never been to one, but just in case, I called my secretary and had her fix me up some credits. I said I might buy me something, but I went down there, and it was fun. My wife went with me. We had a ball.
The Vicari Car Auction is held in Nocona, the classic car capital of Texas, every May. It complements the big car show they have here on the same weekend. Every year, an eclectic mix of exotics, classics, and customs are auctioned off, and this year, the lineup of cars being offered was exceptional. There were several Ferraris offered. If you're in the market for a classic Mustang, there is always a selection of quality Stangs to choose from. Perhaps the most unusual car to cross the block was this beer wagon. It's essentially a beer keg on wheels. It was built to promote Hawaii-based Primo beer. But there is even more to the story. This car also appeared on the TV show Magnum P.I. with Tom Selleck. The Primo Beermobile didn't sell because the reserve price was not met, but it still turned heads. Tucked away in the back, we found this unusual Volkswagen Shorty, a Volkswagen Bug that has been chopped and shortened into something resembling a cartoon car. It's small, but it's still cool. There were plenty of classics up for grabs, old trucks, 50s cruisers, and lots of Corvettes, Camaros, and American muscle. Hundreds of cars, all up for purchase to the highest bidders. In Nocona, Texas, where the weather is dry, there ain't no snow, and the cars are almost always rust-free.
We bought 16 cars. We bought 16 cars.
You heard right. Pete Horton went from being a non-collector to having 16 classic cars in one day. That's a blistering 0 to 60 on anyone's stopwatch. But the collection didn't end there, by a long shot. Pete Horton is methodically filling several buildings with classic automobiles, and while his tastes cover a variety of brands, it doesn't take long to see that he has become a Corvette guy. A rainbow assortment of Vettes, most in the C1 and C2 categories, is displayed in the main downtown museum. They include a white 63 split-window coupe, formerly owned by Texas actress Sandra Bullock, and a red 65 Roadster that Pete bought a while back. It came with an unexpected bonus. Inside the glove compartment, he found an owner's manual signed by none other than Zora Duntov.
Everybody loves a Corvette, even people that don't care about cars much. You drive down the road, it turns their head, and Especially, I really like the 50s and 60s. There's just so many of them left, and especially like the 53, there's probably 150 left, if that.
Whatever that number is, Pete has one of them. Bearing a license plate denoting its VIN 261, this first-year Corvette occupies a place of honor in the front window of the museum.
Oh, he just pulled in.
How important is this event to the community?
It's very important. You know, they lost their biggest industry here was lost and was sent to Mexico. The owners brought the town, the business to Mexico, and there was like 400 or 500 people working there, and they all lost their jobs. And many years ago, a friend of mine came and said he wanted to move his business back here because he was from here as a child, and he moved his company back here, and it exploded a redevelopment of this whole town. I mean, 6 years ago, you could have bought this whole town for $100,000. Now you can't touch property here for less than $100,000 or $200,000 for just a little bitty lot, because they just exploded the redevelopment. I mean, then they welcome you with open arms because they understand what tourism is all about. You know, Mr. Horton put in a car museum. There's over 200 of some of the world-class quality cars in that building there. And we've given tours and people are like, wow, these cars are in Nocona? Yeah, it's the classic car capital of Texas.
And that's a really big deal because it's a growing industry really in itself.
It's growing, the industry's growing. There's a lot of new people coming into the hobby. We got a lot of new people coming into town. And everybody that comes here, and I hear it, and I'm not joking. When I'm telling you people come here, they say, we love this town, because they can park their car somewhere. They could walk to their hotel, walk to the museum, walk to the restaurants, just walk. And everybody here I'm from the South. They've got some amazing Southern hospitality here. These people really understand and love people to come to their city.
Wow.
thinks he has 45 or 50 Corvettes, but forgive him if he loses count. Last year, he bought 25 fully restored Vettes from one seller in one day. At an on-site Nocona auction in spring of 2013, he paid more than $400,000 for just 2 Corvettes, a rare unrestored Big Break 62 and a long-hidden 63 Z06. The 63 is in the museum, and the 62 sits in a remote warehouse with dozens of other Horton cars. It's patiently awaiting a planned expansion of the museum when it will take its rightful place among the other Corvettes. So how is a quiet-spoken nice guy in a small Texas town able to buy any car he wants? He'd be the first to say, hard work and a little luck. He was the oldest of 5 children. As a teenager, Pete Horton worked in the North Montague County oil patch, a fertile, shallow field discovered in 1922 north of Nocona. It covered over 12,000 acres. Today, his Peba Oil Company owns most of that field. And while he sleeps, hundreds of producing wells replenish his car-buying checking account every night. And there's a good chance future checks will be written for even more Corvettes.
They hold their value and go up. When there's not a recession, I did some research, it looked like they go up 6 to 10% a year if you buy the right kind. To me, they're just everybody, when they see a 50 or 60 Corvette, they just fall in love with it. It's just special. It's not like something else. Corvette's a Corvette.
Well said, Pete. You won't get any argument from us on that. By the way, Pete Horton's expanded museum and collection with even more Corvettes is scheduled to open in the next few months. So you might want to plan a trip to Nocona, Texas to check it out.
And this auction is a big part of the whole weekend. And so this time around, what are some of the, the more rare or the highlight vehicles that will be sold?
Well, we have 2. The town is, like I said, was really ghost town. And the auction has really revived. In conjunction with the revival of the town, it's just got a whole new life of the town. They now have a Mardi Gras here, and the Mardi Gras is just as big as the whole auction. And people are coming from all over, Dallas, from Oklahoma. They all coming in here. And we got a car club coming in tomorrow. There'll be 300 people from Dallas here with their cars. So it's been a great deal that I'm working with the city and all the families that live here. I can't say enough good about them. They're great people. Some of the rare cars we have 2 rare Corvettes, and we kind of put them together as see which one's going to do the best as far as price. We have a 68 L89 Corvette, red T-top car, and then we have a 70 M-Code convertible red 2-top car. I really believe the M-Codes are much rarer because they have very limited production in those blocks. So we'll see what happens. But there's many more. We have 63 Corvettes. We have a very good collection of cars here.
The city of Nocona in North Texas is named for Comanche Chief Peter Nocona, who was the father of the last Comanche chief. The area was first known to the pioneers as the last stop in Texas before crossing the Red River on the Chisholm Trail. It was founded in 1887 along a particular bend in the Gainesville, Henrietta, and Western Railway line, which soon became part of the Missouri-Kansas-Texas Railroad, connecting Gainesville and Henrietta, and later Wichita Falls. Nocona assumed the role of economic and industrial center of northern Montague County, while many older towns in the area, bypassed by the railroad, shuttered and its citizens moved to Nocona. The city has steadily maintained a population of around 3,000 since the 1940s, though industries responsible for its growth have come and gone. The Northfield, an oil field between Nocona and the Red River, contributed to Nocona's economy for much of the 20th century and continues to do so on a small scale. The MKT line, which was responsible for Nocona's founding, was abandoned in 1969 and the tracks removed in 1971. Nocona has a proud history of leatherworks and has been home to Justin Industries, Nocona Boot Company, and the Nocona Belt Company. Nocona Boot Company and Justin Industries have since moved. However, the Montague Boot Company has been established in downtown Nocona, making boots for the Larry Mahan line at Cavender's Boot City. Also integral to the Nocona economy is the Nocona Athletic Goods Company, which manufactures baseball gloves, bats, catcher's equipment, and other sports accessories. The athletics goods facilities burned in July 2006, and production has been moved to a temporary facility. Significant efforts are underway to revitalize the Clay Street downtown area. Nocona has a lake approximately 10 miles north of the city, appropriately named Lake Nocona. It is a recreational lake popular with people from across north central Texas. On Lake Nocona sits Nocona Hills, an attractive gated lakeside city with many homes, a hotel, golf course, landing strip, and other amenities. Nocona is also home to an 18-hole golf course, airstrip, hospital, and one of the finest city parks in Texas.
Ball gloves to men are one of the most sacred things that they'll have in their life. A lot of them will keep them their whole lives. The only other thing that they try to keep that long sometimes is their underwear. We are a part of an industry of about 80 different brands of ball gloves, but we're the only company that has our own factory, and we're the only factory in the United States. This is Oh Give Me a Home Where the Buffalo Roam. We've been using it about 20 years now. Kind of a spongy type of a leather. This is kangaroo, this is kangaroo. When we make a glove out of kangaroo, for the most part, we're gonna make half of it out of kangaroo and half of it out of cowhide. The problem with kangaroo is that it is not very thick, so it doesn't have a lot of body to it. It kind of is floppy. The tensile strength is 2 to 3 times stronger than cowhide. This is one of our cookie cutters right here. This is the palm, which is always the largest part that we cut. We do have dies going back to the 30s. Each glove that we make usually has about 3 different pieces of embroidery on it. And we can put your name on a glove, we can put logos on a glove. Nolan Ryan's first glove was a Nocona, so he's always kind of had a soft spot for us. And after their 2 World Series years, one of those Christmases, he decided he wanted to give a Nocona ball glove to every employee of the Rangers. That was 320 people. And it had the Rangers name on the index finger, it had the Rangers logo on the thumb, and then on every thumb was every employee's name individually stitched out. What she's doing now is taking that lining palm, and you can see there's that handcrafted in Nocona, Texas. She's gonna sew this onto this. Here's the palm of the glove. She's going to sew this on here in such a way that everything's going to be inside out. She's going to start adding a welt line right there and go up and down, finishing the whole perimeter of those fingers. This is the hardest job in the factory. Martin's job is to turn the glove inside out. This one is a half kangaroo, half cowhide model, so it is not as difficult as some of the models are. Now he goes back to the hot fingers because he wants to stretch that leather out, starting to resemble a glove. And a lot of people will say, well, all there is to making a ball glove is just lacing some leather together. There's about 60 holes in that one die, okay? They have to be matched up with all these holes on the back. Cosmoline is a lot of wax and a little bit of mineral oil. It's a very sticky substance, but what we use it for is a stickum. Now you'd say, well, why don't you just use glue? We want this area in here to be very sticky because we want that palm to want to stay touching that. Now we could put glue in there, but after a while it would dry out, and as you're bending the glove, it would finally break loose. she's working on and repairing gloves. Now, you will find people around the country that will work on gloves, but you don't find factories that work on gloves. So we're the only factory in the world where if you have a Nocona glove and something goes wrong with it, you can send it back to us and we can fix it. Try that with your Rawlins glove. Say, yeah, could you send that back over to Guangdong, China? In some cases, we've had gloves come back to us over a 30-year period 3 or 4 times. And in some cases, those gloves don't have an original part left to them when they go out the door after that 3rd time, except for one thing. They may still have grandpa's memories in them, or dad's. Well, the next things that we do, and you'll see this a lot, you probably even do it. You ever do that? We're gonna try to work out the wrinkles in here because a wrinkle might cause an error, and you can't have that, so people are always doing that. Well, now, we got a guy named Vito. For years, the way we would do that, we would take one of these, what we call a glove mallet, and you just kind of lightly tap on the leather. You were asking how to break it in, just lightly. My granddad, he was faced with, do we go to Japan like all of our competitors and tell all of our people in the United States to go home just because that's what everybody else is doing? And he said no. His favorite saying was, if I've got to tell everybody to go home and go to Japan, then I'm going to take a bucket of worms and just go fishing. I'm not going to do it. I saw this today and I thought we've got to get a picture of this because we've got one customer over in Taiwan. His name is Hammer Sue. And Hammer buys a lot of gloves from us. They wanted the Taiwanese flag there. And so my granddad would be thrilled about this, knowing that we had finally got some going back the other way. Pretty soon we're going to have what's called a custom glove builder that will allow as you make the choices, you see the glove appear on the screen there. And I'm afraid when that happens, we're going to be making a poncho. Seems like the people that buy Nocona tend to, I don't know, hold that just a little bit more special to them. The fact that they've got an American-made glove and that's their first experience in baseball or softball. It doesn't matter if it's a girl or a boy. It's always seems like a good experience for them. Our company, when we made wallets and purses, we were Nocona Leather Goods, N-O-C-O-N-A. But when my granddad made that first ball glove, he wanted to put the company name on the glove. So he sent a letter to the U.S. Trademark Office in Washington, D.C., and he said, I'd like to trademark N-O-C-O-N-A. Well, they sent a nice letter back to him, and they said, you can't because there's an incorporated city in Texas with that name already. He quickly said, we're going to change it to a K and tell everybody that's how the Indians spelled it. Okay? Now, our name is a Nocona. Nocona is a Comanche Indian name. Peta Nocona, P-E-T-A, was born in 1820, either out in the Paladora Canyon area or up in Indian Territory. Do you know where that's at? That's what they used to call Oklahoma.
Hey, slow down the next time you're coming through Ringgold, Texas, the midway point between Henrietta and Nocona. That's where you'll find Fee's Knick-Knack Cafe, and you'll be amazed at the plates we're about to dig into inside.
I've had the chicken fried steak, which is great, but last week we had the liver and onions for the first time. It's liver and onions from here on out.
And it's the best place we have within an hour's drive to eat.
We got our first plate out now to try the whitefish in the Cajun cream sauce with the shrimp and the crab and the crawfish. Swirl that around in the sauce a little bit. Oh my. That is a Cajun taste sensation right there, and something you ain't gonna find anywhere else. And what's blowing my mind is the size of these shrimp. This is if you went through a bag of jumbo shrimp, this is the jumbo shrimp of the bag of jumbo shrimp right here. It's huge. We got Ellen in here right now, and you are making my stomach so happy right now with this amazing spread. I've been digging into the Cajun whitefish here with the shrimp. We talk about how big them shrimp are. It's incredible. Have me some of them garlic green beans. I'm a huge green bean fan, and you were doing them up right here. Here in front of me, we got the steak and lobster. We got the pork chop smothered in the caramel apples with the mashed potatoes that look amazing. Inside, we saw the folks feasting down and raving about the liver and onions. A little man in there, I thought it would be amazing, but you could take that entire bacon cheeseburger with the grilled onions. Just massive and incredible, just like the chicken fried steak. You had the shrimp two ways for one of the other customers in there, and she was digging in and had a big old smile on her face. And one thing you can do here is when you order a plate of food, it doesn't necessarily have to be something straight off the menu. You can ask for, you want it a little more salty, a little more pepper, because everything is cooked fresh when it's ordered.
Correct. They can have anything is made the way that they want. Whether you want no gravy, whether you want it all lobster, everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's cooked fresh, and let me tell you what, you know what you're doing, because every bite I've taken so far, I can tell that you put a lot of love into this, and from what I've been told, this whole restaurant here, the Knick Knack Cafe, is a dream come true.
This is my dream come true. It's a wish that I've had for a long time. I've been in the restaurant industry for a long time. However, not been able to have my own. I had my husband say, build me a restaurant, and we did that, and here we are today.
Well, let me tell you, it's a short drive from Wichita Falls, literally just a little bit over a half hour. You got all the folks from Bowie, Henrietta, Nocona. It's a perfect spot to come eat and enjoy casual fine dining, literally at its best. Ellen, y'all are doing great things here at the Knick Knack Cafe. I highly recommend Knick Knack Cafe to anybody who's hungry for amazing food. And now it's time to dig into the steak. Ellen,
okay, enjoy.
Thank you so much. Oh, we'll do it. Look at that. You need a steak knife for this.
So one last question. What's your prediction for the town of Nocona and this event? What's going to happen to this community now?
Oh, it's going to continue to grow. I mean, it's our 4th year here, and we've seen it grow every year. I mean, you can't get a hotel within 30 miles of here. I mean, all the hotels are booked here. The RV parks are booked. You know, it's just, once you come and experience, you're going to come back. Believe me, you will love it here.
Mr. Vicari, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank y'all very much for coming, and please tell all your Canadian friends to come on down and see us. Go to vicariauctions.com. Thank you very much.
certain undeniable truth in this world. Hard work doesn't come naturally to just everyone. Some people have an ability to push themselves harder than others. Not every artist can paint or sculpt. Some artists are just more practical in their endeavors. When a person is truly passionate about something, they will indeed surpass all those around them. And that's why there's nothing finer than Fenolio.
Texas is famous for a lot of things. Well, Nocona, Texas is famous for being the leather capital of the Southwest and the home of Fenolio Boot Company.
We've been making boots in Nocona, Texas for as long as there's been cowboy boots. Everybody that grew up in this area takes a lot of pride in the leatherworking of this town.
Nobody understands a cowboy boot like a Texan.
There's no reason we can't make the best cowboy boot out there.
Here at Fenolio Boot, we don't take any shortcuts. That's one of the biggest things we pride our company on, is we want the cowboy boot that's traditionally made in Texas, made by Texans, right here where it all started.
Today we're going to build a Fenolio boot. We're going to build it the right way, the traditional way. All the way from selecting the leather and cutting it by hand, to finishing the leather, boxing it, and shipping it out the door.
I'm a third-generation bootmaker. I've been around it my entire life. I worked in every position in the factory. At Fenolio Boot Company, we really are keeping the tradition of bootmaking alive.
From the time we receive an order, whether it be a large order or the one customized pair we make for you, it starts with a production ticket.
After the customer orders the boot, it comes to us out in the factory. We take it to our first step, issuing. Our exotic skins and even our traditional skins are hand-selected and brought in from all over the world. We deal in genuine article leather. It's all the real deal.
When you're buying a Fenolio boot, there's a couple of things that you can come to expect in every pair you pick up. You'll have the full leather construction of the boot. There'll be nothing that's synthetic. That translates into a better wearing boot.
A lot of customers, we try to let them really personalize their boot, really pick out something that they're really going to love. You know, we want these people to show their boots off and be proud of where they came from and the job we've done. Sean gathers up the leathers that we need that's listed on the ticket, puts them into a tub, takes it over to the cutters. They cut the boots out with what are called clicker machines. They cut out all the pieces that are needed for the boot. We have a history of about 150 years of bootmaking knowledge that gets to be passed down to the next generation. There were great people that worked for Nocona Boot that I grew up knowing. They were quite characters, you know, but they were really craftsmen. I've got a lady that works for me that runs the whole fitting and stitching departments, that she actually went to work for the boot company the month I was born. She must love it. You couldn't do something for 39 years if you don't really have a passion for it.
My name is Darcy Reeves. The boots leave the cutting department and they come straight to my area. I love seeing it whenever the new patterns, especially some of the brands that we put on stuff, that when they turn out and look really good, or when we have picked out colors in it, just looks so nice on that certain piece of leather. On this Fenolio boot that we are starting, we use the 1510 style number, which is an original that nobody else has seen.
Once it flows through the fitting area, it comes into the side seaming area. We turn it right side out. Just before lasting and after it's been rubbed and turned, we sew on the pull straps.
It goes back to quality, completely quality. You can look at my boots and you can't tell much about it, but when you pick one of them up or you wear one of them and you look and see all the work that went in, it just makes you proud to be able to produce something like that.
Then it goes to lasting, where we form the boot around the last. It's anchored to the last through the insole with some nails. The boot is heel seated, so the heel of the boot takes its shape around the last and over the insole. Then they get to sit there and dry out, so that boot makes sure it retains the shape and form of the last we've put it around.
The people that work for Fenoglio Boot Company are true craftsmen that believe in what they're doing and have spent their lifetime of building cowboy boots.
The next day, we will pick up there at heel seating and the boots get inseamed. That's really something that we are proud to do. We actually inseam our boots. A lot of them are flat lasted, so that outsole is just glued on there. Ours is not. We sew through the welt, through the leather, through the insole, so that boot is not just glued together, it is stitched.
One of our biggest goals is to offer this boot that is 100% man-made with great materials at an affordable price, so that cowboys and ranchers and guys that like us that rope, have cows and go out dancing can enjoy this product and not set aside a large amount of money to enjoy a great product that's made in Texas.
We changed some of the processes. We actually went less automated in some areas. That way the hands-on and the handcrafted part of that boot came back. We just take a little more time and put a little more quality and a lot of heart and soul into it. Not to put down what was done before, but I just think we took it to the next level. Sole stitching is one of our main ones. The boot is sewn with a lock stitch. It cuts a groove in the leather of the outsole so that stitch is buried down in there so you don't wear it out as fast.
With Fenoglio, every time you put that boot on, it's going to be a perfect fit. Some of the materials that we don't skip are your lemon wood pegging. That's a very traditional way of making a boot.
The Fenoglio boot line, we're really getting back to old school, back to basics, back to how boots were made and how, in my opinion, they should be made. What's cool about the lemon wood pegs is it takes a lot longer to do, but that boot's really going to hold together. If you wear that boot out in the weather, in the snow or the mud or the rain, the wood's not going to corrode and rust the way a regular nail would. Then we actually do finally attach the heel to it. And that's one area that really has stepped up quality in our boots. The outsole attaching and the heel attaching, those nails interlocking, is a step that not everyone does that really ensures that the boot hangs together and holds up to whatever you throw at it. So if you go in after you've been working hard and you just want to kick your boots off and you use your foot to do it, that outsole and the heel, they're going to be stayed on there. It's not just going to come apart on you.
When you put that boot on, it'll be what you come to expect when you put on a $1,000 custom boot. Everything will be there, everything will fit well.
And the boot moves into the finishing area. In this area, it becomes extremely crucial to make sure that this boot looks as good as possible. So every step from the inking and the boot washing is very important. But the main purpose of that, really and truly, is to keep water and mud and stuff from absorbing into the outsole. So we stamp the Fenoglio logo on the bottom of the outsole. We also condition each and every boot before it goes out the door. Then we steam all of the boot tops in a boot steamer. We tree the boots, which irons them from the inside out, makes the top stand up nice and pretty. And then it goes to inspection, where we do just that. We inspect each and every boot that goes out the door. We look for any small flaw or anything that we can fix. Once it passes inspection, it goes to the boxing area. We make sure that everything's correct with the boot once more, and we put it in the box and pray somebody loves them.
I am proud to make Fenoglio boots.
It's a pleasure to walk through the factory and see these people working.
It's just something I'm really proud to do.
Keeping boot making alive in Nocona, there is so much history here, and to have a Fenoglio boot that is made with pride, that says it even more.
We kept the best boot makers that know how to make a quality boot.
Every boot that leaves our factory is inspected 3 or 4 times. We care because it has our family name on it.
I was determined that boot making would stay alive and well. under me, as it did with my father and my grandfather before me.
There's nothing finer than a Fenoglio boot.